Marriage can be a lonely place, and that's the exact opposite thing marriage was created to be. So if you're experiencing loneliness in your marriage, we're going to give you 2 steps, 2 simple steps that you can utilize to really address loneliness in your marriage.
Yeah, and before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe for weekly videos. You know, the research shows that in our country, about 20% of the individuals are feeling depressed, they're feeling lonely. And then as you think about married couples, the research actually shows it's a little bit higher, about 22% of married couples are feeling lonely. And we've been there. We have gone through there. I'll never forget the time. Actually, it was my very first marriage book just had come out. It was called The Marriage You've Always Dreamed Of. And so think about that title in light of what then would happen very shortly thereafter. So I'm starting to do all this book promotion, talking about the marriage you've always dreamed of. And then you came to me kind of one day, a lot of tears, a lot of frustration.
Well, I had been feeling so alone. We had been so busy with having kids, buying a house, starting a ministry, that we were just running parallel paths. And what I know to be true is when you feel lonely in marriage, it's really painful because it's the exact opposite of what we're created to feel, especially in marriage.
Yeah. And it was so ironic to hear you're going, hey, I love you. I'm committed to you, but I just feel like we're nothing more than married roommates. And boy, I remember digging in going, well, that can't be true. And, you know, have this new book. And what you weren't saying is that our marriage is nothing that I've ever dreamed about.
You even offered maybe you should read the book. No, I'm just kidding.
Chapter 6 in particular.
Okay.
But I didn't want that to be true. It didn't seem true to me. But I tell you what, one thing I've learned 33 years of marriage later is that, you know, women have this amazing intuition, this gut around the relationship. And so one, man, trust that gut, trust that intuition. As I finally was able to listen and really hear to understand what was going on for you, I mean, it made sense why you were feeling lonely. And that really created a pivot opportunity for Aaron and I. I mean, we had to decide, are we just going to keep running as married roommates, or did we want this to really look different? And, you know, as I think back, there was probably 2 things that we really did that made such a big difference.
Yeah, and if you're in this place, maybe these things can help you as well. Step 1 is really address the underlying issue. What is really driving the disconnect? For us, it was a season of busyness, busy doing good things, but it still didn't permit a lot of crossover or connection.
Yeah.
And so we needed to do some things to really discover what was really going on.
Yeah, I think for me, that season, there was a lot going on for me at work. And for me, it created a depression that I think for me, I finally realized later, but I couldn't think my way out of feeling depressed. And that was a very new experience for me. And so oftentimes we had started a new ministry. So it's a Hope Restored is our marriage intensive program here at Focus. Well, Aaron and I and some colleagues started that 25 years ago. And so doing marriage intensives and dealing with some family stuff, there was just a lot going on to where I would come home and just be exhausted, kind of that compassion fatigue. And I would just go to the basement and sit in front of the TV and just kind of check out. Like I just didn't feel I had anything to give. Well, you talk about creating a loneliness in marriage. That's me in the cave. Yeah, but and I know for guys, when we get stressed out, when we're feeling depressed, when there's a lot going on, feeling overwhelmed, that it creates this desire just to be alone and go into the cave.
Yeah, versus for women, when we're stressed and oxytocin is released and it mixes with estrogen, we actually want to, they call it the tend and befriend hormone, that we want to tend to children and befriend other female friends. And we also want to connect here. So you notice the difference that Greg was isolating and I was leaning in trying to connect because I was feeling so alone.
Yeah, no wonder you were feeling that loneliness
Yeah.
inside of our marriage. And so that's why we just say, first and foremost, what's going on? So for
Mhm.
me, it was I was dealing with some depression, feeling very overwhelmed, very stressed out.
Mhm.
But maybe there's been a lot of ongoing conflict.
Mhm.
So you're not feeling safe maybe to connect. If we try to connect, we're just going to get into an argument. Maybe you're feeling exhausted.
Mhm.
It's a season with maybe an infant or taking care of elderly parents. I mean, for whatever reason, just poured out, and I have nothing to give. And that's why when we come together, if I'm already poured out,
Mhm.
you're almost a threat. Like now she's gonna want something, she's
Mhm.
gonna need something.
Yeah, and so it really is discovering what is
Yeah.
the underlying issue, what's driving it. Like Greg said, it could be depression, it could be an addiction, it could be coming off the tail end of infidelity or pornography. So really it is going deeper to go, what is causing the disconnection? But then it's doing something about the disconnection. Treating whatever's happening over here, but then going and pursuing each other.
Yeah. So step two is really embracing togetherness. And I know it's like, really? That seems so obvious, but when we're feeling that we've drifted apart, when we're
Mhm.
feeling lonely, looking for ways to really create that togetherness. We often talk about this little simple advice, just 10 minutes a day of leaning in to find out
Mhm.
and explore the inner life of your spouse. Inner life is, hey, how you feeling? What's stressing you out? What are you dreaming about?
Mhm.
Just any way to really increase your knowledge, almost
Mhm.
rediscovering your spouse. Because a part of that loneliness may be that we've just slowly drifted and we've lost sight
Mhm.
and we're always changing. And so using 10 minutes a day, we do that by just saying, hey, what was the high of your day? What was the low of your day? And that becomes a way that Aaron and I not only reconnect, but we stay current. We're learning, so we're not losing sight of each other.
Mhm.
And that alone is such an important way to combat that loneliness inside the marriage.
Yeah, and it would be easy to go, "Oh, just go on a date night." Date nights are great, and that is one way to pursue each other, but pursue each other at that deeper emotional, spiritual, that intimate connection.
Yeah.
Because if you're drifting, just being courageous enough to bring it up,
Yeah.
to say, hey, I am feeling alone or I am feeling disconnected, that's your first step. And identifying it, then going deeper, what's going on, as well as how do we begin to pursue each other at that deeper level.
Just don't bring it up right after your spouse has written their first marriage book. I'm just saying. But I'm so glad that Aaron and I faced that. And it's something that we're always going to battle and we're intentional. I don't want to lose sight of Aaron. I don't want to grow so
Mhm.
far apart that I feel like, oh, I'm married to a stranger, I'm married to a roommate. That's not what we want. Aaron and I actually created a little small group series called Reconnected, moving from roommates to soulmates in your marriage. And it's just an easy way. You guys could do this as a couple. You could actually do this as a small group just to help bring alive some of the things that we talked about. And we'll go ahead and put the link below.
These two steps are great, and they can be a great starting point. But you might need counseling.
Yeah.
Counseling might be a great idea. I really encourage you to reach out, find a licensed Christian counselor in your area to really help you guys move from roommates to soulmates.
Well, if you found this information helpful, go ahead and like this video. Don't forget to subscribe for weekly videos because we want to help your marriage thrive in Christ.